time now for the markets with Leighton. And you say Mississippi has more pine trees than ever, and that's not good?
Unfortunately, no. All that supply is going to keep the pressure on sawtimber prices. James Henderson will have analysis on that coming up. Also ahead this week in the markets, corn is declared a dead sideways market. Also, processing increases by double digits for catfish, while some analysts believe feeder cattle prices may dip by fall. Tuesday, June 30th is almost upon us. That means the always anticipated acreage report from the USDA will be released. It could be a market mover. But in the meantime, analyst John Roach sees a sideways trading pattern in the corn pit continuing. Even come fall, he says that big carryovers will keep a lid on top of the U.S. corn market.
You really have both pro and con factors here that will likely keep the corn market in a sideways kind of a pattern, which is really what it's been now for the last 3 or 4 months, sideways to sliding down. We think now it's a dead sideways market, and then depending on how the weather is, we'll either have to rally back up a little later or we may tail off all the way into harvest.
As probably any landowner with pine trees knows, stumpage prices for pine saw timber are about half or even less than half of what they were 10 years ago. Extension Associate Professor Dr. James Henderson explains why this timber market is in the shape that it's in.
Dr. Henderson, the slowdown in new home construction is a prime reason we have low pine saw timber prices.
Exactly. Mississippi timber markets are highly dependent upon residential construction. And we've seen an incredible slowdown since the beginning of the Great Recession. Around 2007, nationally, we were building more than 2 million houses a year. Within a span of about a year, that dropped to 500,000 units, 500 to 600,000 units for about a 3-year period. And only in the past 2 or 3 years have we started to see the recovery. Now we're back up to just above 1 million starts annually, and permits, which is a leading indicator of housing starts, issuance of permits are now this past month at an annual rate of about 1.28 million, which is good because we need to get up to around 1.5 million. That's where we start to see strong demand and some price movement for saw timber.
All right, at the same time, on the other end, on the supply end, we continue to do a great job in Mississippi of growing trees. So that's not helping in one way.
Right. Price is influenced by two issues, demand and supply. Demand has been bad, but is starting to improve. Supply, we're doing a real good job of growing trees, as you said. One indicator of volume is the recent MIFI reinventory for Southwest and Southeast Mississippi that was completed in 2012 and 2013. And in Southeast Mississippi, the estimate is 10 additional years of annual saw timber harvest at peak harvest levels that we could accommodate just to get us back to 2005 inventory levels. And in Southwest Mississippi, we could accommodate almost 25 years of pine saw timber harvest at peak harvest levels just to get back to the 04 inventory levels.
Yeah. All right, the last question for about 30 seconds here. The mountain pine beetle out west, that situation, an epidemic, could actually work in the favor of Mississippi and the rest of this region, right?
Right. It's been likened to spotted owl and what that did for southern timber markets. But this is a more slow-moving event. But what's going on out west is mountain pine beetle is going to eliminate the standing inventory by about 1/3 over the next 10 years. So that's going to increase delivered wood costs for mills operating out west. So a lot of those forest products companies are looking to reinvest somewhere where the cost would be less to them, and the U.S. South is ideal for that, and a number of Canadian and Western firms have already opened some sawmills in the South and even in Mississippi, and we can certainly accommodate more.
Time to break for a trivia quiz on Farm Week, and our question has to do with what Dr. James Henderson was just talking about, sawmills. Here is the quiz question. How many sawmills are there in Mississippi? Is the answer A, 130, B, 121, C, 95, or D, 74? You'll find out here in only a few more minutes. We lead the second half of the markets with the latest snapshot of the U.S. farm-raised catfish industry. This was released June 11th. It reflects the market in the month of May. U.S. producers received a pond bank price of $1.14 per pound for premium-sized live fish in the month of May. That is a drop of 7 cents per pound from only 1 year ago. Now, farm sales totaled almost 24.5 million pounds round weight, an increase of 10% from May 2014. Meanwhile, processor sales were heading the other direction last month, dropping 7.8%. Our next stop in the market's feeder cattle, where prices are said to be like the weather, hot. While this market may trend down as we go towards the October contract, analyst Elaine Cubb says she is confident the summer months will continue to feature strong prices for producers.
I believe it's because of the great prospects for pasture conditions right now. We're seeing better pasture condition ratings in the last crop progress report than we have seen for years, honestly, on a nationwide level. So I think that makes people very excited about buying feeder cattle in the short term, but slumping off as we go farther into the fall. I don't think that the herd is going to expand so quickly that these prices are going to fall apart in the very short term, or even in the next year or 18 months, let's say. I believe that these opportunities will probably stay in place just because of the nature of the industry. We can't expand that quickly.
Back to the trivia quiz now as we wrap things up for this week in the markets, and the right answer is C. There were 95 sawmills in Mississippi in 2013. That is a 22% decline from the number of mills in 2005.